the face of God. My name is Johann Schmidt. You may know me by another name. A name I was given, a name I chose to wear. But before the mask, before the uniform, before the power, there was a boy, Johann. A small, hungry boy on the cold streets of Germany. That is where my story begins. Not in a laboratory, not on a battlefield. It begins in the dirt, with an empty stomach and a heart full of something much colder than the winter wind. I remember the windows of other people's homes, the warm yellow light spilling out onto the snow. I would stand there for hours watching families, a father reading a story, a mother humming a tune, children laughing. They had everything, and I had nothing. Not even a name that felt like my own. It was just a sound people used before they told me to go away. Do you know what you learn when you are nothing? You learn the truth, the real truth. Not the pretty stories people tell in warm rooms. You learn that the universe does not care. There is no grand plan. There is no justice. There is only power, and those who have it, and those who do not. I was one of those who did not. I swore to myself on those frozen nights that I would never be weak again. Weakness was the only sin. Kindness was a lie the powerful told to keep the weak in their place. A fantasy. My own father tried to kill me. The day I was born, my mother died, and he looked at me, this tiny, screaming thing, and saw only a thief, the thing that had stolen his wife. He saw a burden. He tried to drown me, his own son. He was weak. He could not face the pain, so he tried to destroy its source. People found me. They saved me. Saved me for what? For an orphanage that was a prison, for streets that were a battlefield. I learned to fight. I learned to steal. I learned to look into a man's eyes and see what he feared most. And I learned that fear was the only real power in this world. Not love, not hope, fear. It is the oldest and strongest emotion. It is the engine of the world, and I would learn to drive it. Then he found me, the Führer. He was speaking to a crowd, and I was in the back, a young man full of rage. I was not listening to his words about country or destiny. I was listening to the music underneath, the promise of order, the promise of strength. He saw me after. He looked at me, and he did not see a dirty street rat. He saw a tool. He saw a reflection of his own ambition. He said he saw the future. He was wrong. He saw only a part of it. He saw the path, but not the destination. He gave me a uniform. He gave me a purpose. For the first time, I was not invisible. I was part of something. The Third Reich. A grand idea. But even then, I knew it was not grand enough. It was built on foolish ideas, purity of blood, national pride. These were chains, not wings. They were thinking about one country, one people. My vision was so much bigger. I saw the whole world, all of humanity. A species that was flawed, chaotic, and self-destructive. A species that prayed to gods for salvation when they should have been building a god of their own. I began my work, my true work. I sought out the old legends, the whispers of power that history had tried to forget. I found Hydra, an ancient truth. Cut off one head, two more shall take its place. It was not just a motto, it was a promise. A promise that an idea, a true idea, can never be killed. The Reich was a vessel, a temporary home for my work. Hydra was the soul. Hydra understood. It understood that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. Freedom is life's great lie. It leads only to chaos, to children starving in the street while others feast behind warm windows. I found it, the Tesseract, the jewel of Odin's treasure room. They called it a myth, but I knew. I knew there were powers in this universe that made the armies of men look like toys. I held it in my hands. It was like holding a star. The energy, the pure, limitless potential. It whispered to me. It showed me possibilities beyond anything the Führer, with his small maps and his smaller mind, could ever dream of. This was not a weapon for conquering nations. This was an instrument for reshaping reality itself. This was the face of God. And I wanted to be worthy of it. I found the work of Abraham Erskine, the super soldier serum. He saw it as a way to make good men better, the fool. There are no good men. There are only the strong and the weak. He believed the serum amplified what was already inside. He was right about that. He gave it to his chosen one, the boy from Brooklyn, and it made a weak man physically strong, a puppet, a symbol for the masses. I took the serum myself, an early version, an unstable one. I did not care. I needed to be more than a man. I needed to become a symbol myself. I injected it. And the pain was absolute. It felt like fire was remaking my body from the inside out. I screamed for days. When it was over, I looked in the mirror. My skin was gone. My face, the face of Johann Schmidt, was gone. And in its place was a skull. A red, raw, living skull. My men were terrified. They looked at me and saw a monster, a demon. At first I felt a flash of that old weakness, that old fear. The boy in the alley shunned and hated. But then I saw the truth. This was not a curse, it was a gift. The universe had stripped away my weak human face. It had peeled back the lie of my flesh and showed the truth underneath. The skull. The symbol of death. The ultimate power. The ultimate fear. It was perfect. I was no longer Johann Schmidt. He was a weak boy who died in a cold alley. I was the Red Skull. A name to be feared. A face that would be remembered for 1,000 years. I would wear this face as a crown. And then came Rogers, Captain America. He was everything I despised. He was Erskine's dream made real. A good man. He fought for freedom, for justice, for the American way. Lies, all of it. He was a child wearing a flag. He did not understand the world he was trying to save. He fought to protect the very chaos I was trying to end. He saw a bully, and he wanted to punch him. He could not see the grand design. He could not see that I was not a bully. I was a savior. Our battles were frustrating. He was strong, yes. The serum made him a perfect physical specimen. But his mind was simple. He fought with his heart, that foolish, fragile muscle. I fought with my mind, with my vision. He would stop one train. I was building a railway to a new future. He would save one platoon. I was trying to save all of humanity from itself. He saw me as a Nazi. He could not comprehend that I was so much more. I used the Reich, yes, just as I used the Tesseract. They were tools. Hydra was above nations, above flags. We were an idea. A necessary idea, that in order to preserve life, you must control it. You must prune the tree so that it can grow strong. He could never understand that. His sentimentality, his belief in the individual, was a disease. I remember our last fight, on the Valkyrie. The world was on the brink of a new age. My age. My weapons, powered by the Tesseract, were ready. I would burn away the old world. The world of flags and lies, and from the ashes a new order would rise. One world, one purpose, one leader. Under Hydra, under me. He followed me, of course. The tireless dog. We fought. He was desperate. I was triumphant. I had him. I told him he could have kept the world from changing, but he stood in the way of progress. He just kept getting up. That was his only real strength. He was too stubborn to die. And then, I made my mistake. My one true mistake. In my hubris, in my moment of absolute victory, I held the Tesseract in my bare hand. I thought I could control it. I thought it was mine. I had held a star. but I had never tried to become one. The power, it was too much. It did not recognize me as its master. It saw through the uniform. It saw through the name. It saw through the serum. It saw the small, arrogant man beneath it all. It tore a hole in my world. A brilliant, terrifying light filled the plain. I saw the universe. I saw the spaces between the stars. I felt myself being unmade, pulled apart atom by atom. The pain from the serum was nothing compared to this. This was the pain of a soul being ripped from its body. I thought I was dying. I welcomed it. A fitting end, to be consumed by the very God I had sought to control. But I did not die. Death would have been a mercy. I awoke somewhere else. A place outside of time. A silent, barren world under a perpetual twilight. The sky was filled with alien stars. The ground was dust and rock. And in the center of it all, a great cliff. I was no longer the Red Skull. The serum's effect was gone. My body was a shadow, a wraith, a tattered cloak over something that was no longer human. I was a ghost, bound to this place, this world. It was called Vormir, and I learned my new purpose, my punishment, my cosmic irony. I, who had sought ultimate power, was now the gatekeeper for it. I was the Stonekeeper. For an eternity I stood on that cliff and guided others to the Soul Stone. I, who believed love was a weakness, was forced to explain the ultimate sacrifice. A soul for a soul. I watched them come, countless beings from countless worlds. They climbed my mountain, their hearts full of greed or ambition, the same ambition I once had. And I would tell them the price, and they would fail. They could not pay it, because they did not understand. For decades, for centuries, I watched. I had nothing but time to think, to reflect. I thought about the boy in the alley. I thought about the uniform. I thought about the serum. I thought about Rogers. I saw it all with a clarity I never had when I was alive. I was a prisoner of my own pain. I wanted to burn the world down because it had been cold to me. I wanted to control everyone because I could not control the fear inside myself. My grand vision of order, was it for humanity, or was it just for me? A universe where a small, hungry boy would never be left in the cold again. And then he came. Thanos, the Mad Titan. He walked up my path, and with him, his daughter Gamora. I looked into his eyes, and I saw a reflection of myself. A being of immense will. A grand vision to save the universe through annihilation. He too saw himself as a savior. I told him the price, and I watched him pay it. I watched as he threw the one thing he loved from that cliff. I saw the love. I saw the pain. And for the first time, I understood. It was not a weakness. It was a power I had never known. A power greater than the Tesseract. A force of creation, not destruction. The very thing I had spent my life mocking was the key to the universe. In that moment, standing in my shadowy rags, I felt something I had not felt since I was that boy. I felt small. My ambitions, my wars, my hatred, they were all dust, nothing. I had sought to become a god, and my punishment was to be a priest in an empty church, guarding a faith I could never possess. My curse was finally broken when he returned the stone. My service was over. I was released. Free. But what am I now? I am not Johann Schmidt. He is long dead. I am not the Red Skull. That face is a memory. I am not the Stonekeeper. That purpose is gone. I am an echo, a story, a warning. Do I have regrets? To regret my life would be to regret who I am. And I am a product of the world that made me. A cold, cruel world. I did what I did because I believed it was necessary. I still believe it. Humanity is still flawed, still chaotic. They still fight their petty wars over flags and gods. They are still children playing with fire, and they will burn their own house down. Perhaps my methods were wrong. Perhaps the pain I caused was too great, but my diagnosis was correct. I saw the face of God, and it burned away my own. I have stood outside of time. I have seen the beginning and the end. And I tell you this, you who live in your warm rooms with your full bellies and your easy lies, the universe is not kind. It does not care about your hopes or your dreams. It is a machine of fire and ice, and without a firm hand to guide you, you will all be crushed by it. I failed, but the idea of Hydra, that idea will never die. Someone else will see the same truth I saw, and they will try again and again, until one day they succeed. Until one day there is order. My name is Johann Schmidt, and I was right.